All right, the fight before Christmas continues. Spawning here in the top left corner of the map. It's going to be the yellow Zerg player playing for Root Gaming. Give it up for Petraeus. He leads 1-0.
The bottom right as the red Zerg. It's Liquid Snute.
So I think the thing that caught me so off guard about that is Snute is, in my mind... I wouldn't go as far as to rate him as like perhaps the most mechanically sound Zerg player I've ever seen. Like, he doesn't have the most go-to micro compared to, like, say, Marine King at his finest. But damn if he isn't one of the smartest. And I'm really shocked that was misread the way it was.
Yeah, he's not, he's not a player that's totally invincible against surprise attacks or, just cheeses, but I would consider him, like, really good at not dying to them, especially in ZVZ. I think he's a pretty strong suit. But I think that was just a combination of, like, the perfect situation for Petraeus and just, like, one or two very, like, silly mistakes that Snoot's never gonna make again,
Ooh. Ooh, I have a lot of packages coming in the front door, so the camera's on you. Oh, you guys are gonna see these horrible white bars because they have to... Oh, zombie grab, and I'm sorry about this. I'll be back in a moment.
Okay. Guess you got a lot of Christmas gifts, I guess. Anyways, my point, yeah, it was just, not having that Overlord position. I don't know if Petraeus did end up killing an Overlord. Maybe we missed that, or Snute just, like, simply was just, like, that's a mistake I don't usually make, and that was silly. I don't know, but that really contributed to a lot of it. Otherwise, Snute was in a prime position. If you are the one with speedlings, you're supposed to have better knowledge, better map control, better, just control of the game in general. So it would have been a clutch hold, but it would have been a hold, most likely. It's Snute even had any indication this was coming. And that said, it's also, I think, unlikely Petraeus is going to depend on that to win the game again. Gasless builds, they can go for just the very slow and steady, I'll expand. They can go for that type of all-in, the Roach Ling. They can go for the Swamp of Lings to clear your opponent's third, because what happens is when, Snute, for instance, scouts a Gasless, he won't bother getting a Baneling Nest. Because when you go Gasless, you're not supposed to really get Metabolics boost. But more and more we're seeing Gasless players actually do that. Anyways, Petraeus not going for Gasless. Like I said, I don't think he's really going to depend on that type of attack to win him, that kind of surprise in the game again. And I like seeing that he did take that gas.
Sorry about that. I think I screwed up the camera too as I jumped out of my seat, but I'm back.
What's up?
I ordered, like, over the course of Black Friday to, like, Cyber Tuesday or whatever, I ordered a bunch of parts for a new PC, so they've been coming in 2 or 3 bits at a time.
Yeah, I really want to upgrade my PC, but I have a problem in that it's not a big enough container. What the fuck is it called?
You go to Korea anyways. You can't. You don't want to, like, mess with that right now. Wait till you get home, right?
Wait, get home from Korea in a year?
Oh, I think you only go for like half a year.
No, the contract's a year.
Oh.
If everything goes really poorly, I'll come back in 6 months.
Oh, okay. So I misunderstood.
Even then, I'm gonna upgrade my PC. I'm not that patient.
Okay, fair enough. Whatever. So as far as this goes, I didn't get to see whatever the gas, the hash rate, or whatever it may have been, but I do like seeing both have Baneling Nest down. Yeah, that last game was a bit odd, but Petraeus' choice to go gasless, it blows my mind that worked so well. Gasless is something that we usually don't see actually catch up to, like, the mid game, right? But not going to follow that path this time. And with Banelings, well, a couple coming in defensively for Snute. No one's quite cut their worker count just yet.
Yeah, I mentioned that. I really like that Petraeus changed up and went for his own gas, as opposed to depending on gasless working out as well as it did last time. But he goes for the much faster layer. Not quite sure if this means it's going to be a Spire necessarily, although it could certainly be if it was down 2 gases where, there we go. So I think that's going to be the case. Snute, on the other hand, has Roach one of the ways, and Evagem on the way. Obviously, it's going to be Roaches. Will he scout that it's going to be potential Spire? Oh, Petraeus cancels the gas.
I wonder if that was to try and psych Snute out, though. Like, he doesn't want Snute to see it's the full gas is taken, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Just right back on.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to still do it. It was actually what I was wondering. If you cancel that gas, you not have enough gas, I don't know, but... Oh, still goes for the Spire. Snoot's no clear indication that really was the case, so want to have another... Oh, just kidding. That Overlord is right there next to the Spire. You're going to be kidding me.
Maybe this is another psych up for Petraeus. Or maybe he just wasn't looking. I mean, it could be either or.
Oh, never mind. Hopefully Snute realizes that too. Like, pro gamers don't commonly do this, but even sometimes they'll be like right on top of something and they'll think that it's a pylon, not a dark shrine. It'll be like, what? Your overlord was right there, buddy. How did you not? But I don't think it's the case. He's clicking on that for sure.
I feel bad that like 30, 40 seconds I was gone or whatever. Everyone's like, I'm just reading the chat because of the stream delay. And what's going on? The censorship is real. Ah. All right, well, if there's one thing that sort of draws Snute's attention to that spire, it's the Overlord being under attack. So Petraeus does clean this up, but definitely Snute knows it's here. These drones are very gung-ho to fight. He's brought SCVs to repair his Hellions. Oh, wait.
This isn't a mistake anymore. He's going for an attack. He's going to build spore crawlers.
Oh, that's so sick, actually. Yeah, you know, I was thinking this was a misclick. It looked a little bit odd, but you know, he doesn't have any anti-air. He's going to know this too, so he's actually spreading creep, and he's going to be able to drop these spore crawlers right on top of this, and it's suddenly a retreat path he can fall back to.
Loses one of the drones. Believe it or not, he now needs these drones to stay alive. He needs those spore crawlers right now.
Oh, is he going to go super aggressive with this? Is he going to put him like right up on his opponent's spine?
Oh, that's
like...
not going to work. At least as a whole isn't going to work anymore. Just bring those drones back.
What if this was a mistake and he's just going with it?
No, because he intentionally microed them behind the roaches.
I know.
Like, if you notice them, you're gonna bring them back. They die. I don't understand. Okay, that was good.
They get picked up. Yeah, the spine's gonna hold. Well, at least they hold the roaches at bay long enough for the just clean them up. What? It's the banelings that look so scary, though. No, Snute splits in the last second, saves some of the banelings, but takes some very nasty hits. The Muse clear up the rest, and not a single one gets past this queen line, much less the spine crawler, which holds so well. Petraeus has completely shut Snute down.
That was really bad. Why? Snute.
I think if you put the spores of the overlords and made it a fight into them, that could have been really good. But
yeah, no, I think that like up until those drones died, great idea. And when the drones died, okay, maybe you still try. But when like the roaches died, two spikers were up. Don't morph the banelings. If you do morph the banelings, try and go home. Just like don't commit fully. But I guess that's kind of something you have to make though. Is like maybe if I commit fully, maybe that'll just be barely enough. But now he's behind in supply. He does have a third base on top of his opponent, and actually may be canceling this one. That's really good.
Yeah, he's got a couple of roaches to stand to deal with, and he's so limited on where he can go. The spore rather is going to buy him a little bit of time, I guess. But as you see, even with transfusion, the roaches do some pretty good damage.
Yeah, he pushes Petraeus back for now. Did get the cancel, I think, on that hatchery. Yeah, he did. So Petraeus still, very far behind in that aspect, but they're kind of, evenish drones, 48 to 44. Petraeus, he just needs to find one opening and he can do something.
It's not like Snute has been mining off this in a big way either. It's not fully saturated. He's not exactly on 70 drones. I mean, the third base definitely gives him a bit of an income boost, but not by a whole lot, is the thing. The Infestor is kind of a cool choice, though. I like this. It's really good for catching the roaches. If you've heard me cast DBZ before, you guys know I'm a big fan of Infestors. But it's, of course, primarily if you can catch those mutants, if you can shut those down, remove them from the field, a bit of a peace of mind as it goes to Roach versus Roach.
Yeah. It looks like Snute is feeling pretty comfortable now. Getting those Infestors out, now starting to drone just a little bit. Probably want to drone up that third. And there we go. And the game kind of goes on. Petraeus does have quote-unquote useless supply. Like, these obviously can do multiple things. They can maybe get an Infestor, they can maybe get a couple of drones, so they're never useless, but
Snute,
they're not roaches.
He's really down in roach count right now, like really badly. Those Infestors need to get the front line and not be, there we go, on the way, not be dawdling for the mutas, because right now the mutas are definitely a threat, but he cannot fight this roach army head on.
But Petraeus is, I think he saw the Infestors of the mutas, so he knows that he can't. That opening was not actually found. There was ever a point where there wasn't a spore crawler covering for the mutas. There wasn't, the roaches weren't quite in position. Maybe you could snipe the third. That never actually happened. So while he had a supply lead and a chance, Snute had good enough defense, and now Snute has the better tech. And well, actually the economy isn't that much better anymore. He's actually down in drones.
Again, the magical Infestors can never really be underestimated. They are quite good units.
Yeah. And like 3 bases is a pretty comfortable position to be at in ZVZ. Petraeus will be a little more in control of the game with the mutas and with just the slightly higher roach count, just very slightly. So, but he can be the one that says, okay, we're going to go to our fourth, or okay, we're never going to go to our fourth. We're going to attack right now, and you have to defend. It's kind of his decision to make.
Chipping away at the extractor. This is going to be a bit of a pain for Snute because the sport's a little bit out of position, but he probably won't lose this. He does have a lot of energy on this queen, so transfuses are plentiful.
Snute baking a lot of minerals. They're both going up to all of the tech that they can. Snute's might want to have invested into a second Evo chamber. Maybe not. I guess his plus 2's for the finish, but he will be slightly down in upgrades with Petraeus' double Evo.
So the interesting dynamic that having this many infestors on both sides of the field introduces is it kind of eliminates, like a lot of ZVZ, you can kind of make anything viable given the right circumstances, but what this does do is eliminate the possibility of Roach Bane having any great effectiveness. I mean, if Pet goes for Banelings, they just get fungled. If Snute goes for Banelings, they just get fungled, and quite frankly, become a huge waste of gas. So it's interesting to see this actually get eliminated from the field of play, I guess, because normally you still see that be an option. You see that kind of be that one big punch of a move that wins you a game or at least takes an army fight, but no, Roach Hydra versus Roach Hydra with infestors mixed in.
Petraeus does throw down that fourth first. Snute will want to scout that and respond accordingly. He's also going to attack. He's going to find the, hopefully find a good position here. Snute's going to be on the defensive. Snute going up to a hive, actually. He doesn't have a spire.
What I find interesting is when did he get a supply lead? Like, that's actually really interesting to consider. His drone count being lower. You know, it's Snute. This is the guy. We make jokes about drones all the time, right?
Well,
but his army supply looks a little bit better, so he might be able to take a better fight. Fungal growth's going down the left side. Snute gets a little bit caught, so he can't get those roaches forward to the fight. And this is one of the best ways you can use fungals, but Petraeus at the same time. Oh my god, does he have to deal with so many infested terrans in just a moment's time?
Petraeus did have the bigger bank on the back of this, so if he can just hold on, he will have 21. You know, a lot more coming out than Snute does have pushing, but he might lose all of the infestors in the process.
Still on the retreat. Snute chasing him at as fast as he can. The rocks are trying to be knocked down, so Snute recognizes he decides to walk up to the top of it. Denies the rocks even falling down, and now Snute's actually got a retreat path he can carve out with those rocks, even better, but he's going to knock down this fourth base. He doesn't have a fourth of his own, so it's just going to put him on even footing. But Petraeus is exhausted, is gasping. Non-existent and no more to be had. Snute's still pushing. A lot of his army very badly injured, but no energy on these infestors. No fungal growth to go down. Neither side of the field, the infestors are both kind of useless. A couple of infestors to be squeezed out, but I think Snute with his Hydras should be able to just barely take this. Still have Hydras over 8.
Upgrade lead for Petraeus for a couple more seconds. Might just barely hold on, but Snute, yep, just barely holding on. He's starting to run out of roach reinforcements. They're coming down now. They need to cover the Hydras. Petraeus, he kind of lost that lead that he had, though. He had a bigger bank and he had a fourth base. So while it looked like he might just die straight up, he doesn't, but he also doesn't have a lead anymore. So the game kind of normalizes.
I'm just straight up shocked that actually did trade out so efficiently. You know, Snute took that really good fight in the middle of the map, and you could argue wasted a lot of energy on those infested terrans, but with or without the infestor aid, like him pushing off of creep into your opponent's defender's advantage, down a ramp into what is a possible concave, like, so many ballsy things just happened. I can't believe that worked out so well for him.
Yeah. Snute's gonna have the faster +3. Unfortunately, without a second Evo chamber, won't also be able to get that +2 Carapace, but he's gonna go for at least one Viper. Can't get any more, or just the one, I don't know. But one Blinding Cloud, maybe, like, funnily enough, even a Ductile Infestor.
I've seen crazier things happen. I think the Blinding Cloud actually be fantastic. It does eliminate a lot of damage from the fight, and usually you're looking to put a Blinding Cloud not so much on the Roaches, but those Hydralisks. They're incredibly fast DPS, that's what makes them so scary.
Yeah. You know, it really, Petraeus had that faster fourth, he had the bigger bank, and he also had the ability that if the game is going to go on a very, like, passive way, to go up to his own hive and get the greater spire. Because he's the one with the spire, right? He opened up with Mutas. Right now, Snute's the one with the spire, and he's going to get a couple of Vipers, and that's cool, but it's only the option to get, like, Ultras. His process to a greater spire would be, like, a lot faster, and I think you mentioned that, like, very rarely do we see Snute try and go there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got hive tech for the upgrades bare minimum here, right? And the Viper is kind of a cool addition to have, but I don't know. Like, even if he does decide to pick one of the late game units, I don't see Snute do a lot of Ultralisk. I don't see Snute do a lot of Broodlords. I think he still just maxes out on Roaches and Hydras, even though he's on hive tech. And it's not like that's a bad choice.
No. Petraeus is trying to eke that out, as well as protecting that fourth base. Snute, even with the lower drone count, he has now a higher army supply and a bigger bank. So Petraeus definitely cannot take such an atrocious fight like that last one to base trade it out.
If he does, he's a little bit ahead on the race. Snoot's a little bit late to the party.
What is it? Like, there's no siege tanks, though, in this matchup. They're both going to just rip each other apart.
Yeah, pretty much. Snoot actually gets on top of where Petraeus was trying to build some spines. Snoot got a cool tactic to build time. Petraeus realizing Snoot may very well be emulating the same thing. Starts to move to the natural instead of that third. Both players are splitting DPS all around the map, and it is just a straight up race against time for both sides. We're going to see who can I guess, kill each other a little bit faster. Snoot sneaks out a couple of drones. Petraeus sees this with that Overlord spread, so he knows this isn't going to be it, but Snoot doesn't have enough money to build a hatchery. Snoot can only build extractors.
Oh, I was actually really worried that Petraeus is going to let his drones go back into the death. But he does go to the third, but he still has to pull them out. Like, no, pull your drones out. Base trade.
Okay, so there wasn't really a lot of stack defense on either side of the field. Neither player really lost much. Snoot comes at us with 39 roaches over 29, 25 hydras over 18. I mean, every bit of the way, as long as he fights in one consolidated force. Oh, loses the Viper, that sucks. As long as he fights in one consolidated force, I think he takes this fight, but it's a lot easier said than done. Fungal growth catches the hydras, though. Snoot's gonna force out this fight. We'll see if he can take this. Both players have a pretty good angle of attack, but looks like Petraeus just barely doesn't have it.
Yeah, I thought that was an odd fight for him, really. The upgrade did finish, by the way, for Snute. That might have been sniped off in a different world. But it's 3-1 versus 2-1, and Petraeus.
What a wonderfully scrappy end of that game. But Snute ties up the series 1-1.
It looks like Marine Lord did beat TLO.